Alltså, man ska ju inte ha fördomar, men det har man ju. Och det kan jag säga att jag hade när det gällde Dolly Parton. Jag tyckte visserligen att hon var en väldigt bra sångerska, men för övrigt så tycker jag att det verkade vara mest stora tuttar och det här stora blonderade håret. Men ack vad jag bedrog mig. Alltså Dolly Parton är en av de absolut smartaste kvinnor som jag någonsin har träffat. Hon är en oerhört skicklig affärskvinna. Hon har skrivit över 3000 sånger själv och hon har ett företagsimperium med både videobolag och filmbolag och allt möjligt. Och så går hon upp 3 varje morgon, så hon är ingen latmask heller. Men när jag träffar henne så kunde jag inte låta bli att undra hur hon ser ut egentligen när hon tar av den här blonda peruken och tar av allt sminket.
Any criticism for other people. I do what I feel right about. If something's bothering me, I fix it. I take care of it if I can, whether it's plastic surgery or whether it's liposuction or whether it's this or whether it's that.
Isn't it painful?
Well, I guess. Ain't you never done anything?
No.
No? Well, maybe you should think about it.
Dolly Parton har varit framgångsrik och älskad av sin publik i många år. Men när jag träffar henne så har hon också för första gången blivit kritikernas gunstling. Hon har gett ut ett par skivor med bluegrass-musik. Hon har sökt sig tillbaka till countrymusikens rötter, den musik som hon själv växte upp med. Dolly Parton har klivit in i de fina salongerna. You said that you had to become very rich to sing like you were poor. Why was that?
That's true. I actually said that as a joke, but there's a lot of truth in it. It's like I've gone back to my childhood music, the music that I grew up with, the music that I actually sing the best. But back when I was trying to make a living at that, I couldn't make a living doing it. It's like nobody was interested then. So I just really had to, once my career was totally where it was, I thought, well, now I have made my living doing other things as well as the music. I have my theme park and some other businesses that bring in the money, yes. So I just made a joke that I had to get rich in order to sing like I was poor again, to go back to the music I really love. That's really that much part of me.
Mm-hmm. You devoted the record Little Sparrow to your dad?
My father died.
Yes.
Well, and he loved this kind of music. I was very close to my dad. My dad was a very simple man, and this was the type of music I'm doing now was his favorite music. Nothing my dad loved more than for me to take my guitar, come sit by him, and just sing. He would make me sing for hours. I mean, he would if I would have done it. But I really knew he would have loved all this stuff that I'm doing now.
How many children did he have?
Well, my father had some children outside of us. Some of them were illegitimate children, but there's 12 of us kids. There's 6 girls, 6 boys that my mother and my dad had. And they married very young. My mother was 15. My daddy was 17 when they married. But, they never divorced or anything, but my dad was a bit of a rounder now and then. But I don't really know how many kids he has. I know of at least 3 outside of us that he had.
Mm-hmm, okay. You were very poor. He could neither read nor write. And you had, as you said, 11 sisters and brothers. But how poor were you?
Well, we were as poor as people could be and still live. We always had something to eat. We didn't have all that we wanted to eat. We always had a roof over our head. It leaked sometimes, but we always had each other, and we had our music, and many people were poor in the mountains. We weren't the only poor people. In fact, there were people worse off than we were, but we grew our own food. We canned our own food. We had our own milk cow. We had our own hogs that we had to slaughter every year for our meat, so we had to do all those things. We never went hungry. We were hungry for a variety, but we did all right. My dad did okay, and Mom was good. She was a good helpmate for him. But he grew tobacco. That was our money crop. So I would say like $3,000 a year was the most we ever had as far as money.
And there was 14 people going to live out of that. But you have a way of describing your childhood almost in a romantic way or a very positive way. You've described somewhere that your favorite moment was when you were at bed with your 3 or 4 of your sisters and brothers because you were sleeping together?
You know, we did sleep 3 and 4 in a bed because, you know, our house was small and there was lots of kids. So, and I usually joke, I said, when I first left home, I said, I couldn't wait to leave home, but I got so homesick. I said, and you know, you'd be surprised. I talk about how we slept 3 and 4 in a bed, and that wasn't so bad, but everybody peed in the bed, and I said, that wasn't so bad either, you know, unless it's one of those cold winter nights when they fan the cover. I said, when you're away from home, though, and you're so homesick, you'd be amazed how you miss stuff like pee and kids crying all through the night and toenails digging into your shin bones. It's like my point was that you miss family, you miss those simple things, those ordinary things.
Dolly Parton var bara 6 år när hon skrev sin första sång. Hon var 12 när hon uppträdde i en tv-show och hon fick sin första hit och storsäljare när hon var 21. Dum blondin hette plattan. Redan då var hon medveten om sin image och kunde driva med den. Men hennes mest spelade sång genom tiderna har blivit mest känd genom Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. Who was your role model?
When I took on the look, I always tell this story about this woman in our hometown that was considered to be the trash, like she was a prostitute, I suppose. But everybody said, oh, she's just trash, but she was absolutely beautiful. She was the first blonde, you know, with the big, beautiful blonde peroxide hair she wore, you know, really up on top of her head and beautiful, wore red nails, red toenails, beautiful legs, wore tight clothes and bright colors and red lipstick, and I just thought she was beautiful. And so when I was small, I just thought that's the way I wanted to look because I'd heard that she was just trash. So I thought, well, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up, is trash. But I knew my heart was true. I truly, you know, I knew, even though I grew up in a very religious background, my grandfather was a preacher, did not approve of me wearing makeup and wearing tight, short clothes. I mean, he was very bothered by that early on in my early years. But as he saw my career moving along and that people responded to me, and he saw I wasn't doing it to be trashy or to draw the wrong kind of attention or doing the kind of things that it looked like I might, just looking the way I did. But it was, that was just my way of, it was a country girl's idea of what glamour was, the way I looked. That's how I felt comfortable looking. I felt pretty looking that way. It made me feel more, and I had nothing. I always wanted pretty clothes. I wanted, you know, bright. There was a bright spot in me, and I just wanted to be a bright spot, you know, for other people.
But is there a big difference between the Dolly persona and the real?
No. It's like, I think you can pretty much see through that. I mean, I do, when I said I don't care what you think about me, I do care what you think about me as long as you care enough to know who I really am. But if you're just going to look at me past judgment without knowing anything about me, I don't care about that. That's your problem more than mine. But if you take the time to know me, if you care to, I think that, you know, I think you can see through most of that.
What's the biggest difference between the 20-year-old Dolly Parton and the Dolly Parton of today?
Well, not a lot, to be honest. It's like I used to
look-wise, it's not a lot, really.
Well, thanks. But it's like I used to wonder when I was trying to make it in the business if I really did make it, and if I ever really got really rich enough to be able to quit working if I wanted to. If I ever had enough money not to work, I wondered if I wouldn't. You know, it's like how sometimes you don't know.
And would you?
No, absolutely. It's like now, you know, I wouldn't have to work now, thank God. I like I say, I count my blessings more than I count my money. But I would not have to work anymore if I didn't want to. But now, I want to work more than I used to because I realize now it was never about that.
What do you want to accomplish?
Everything, anything. I mean, I wake up every day with a new dream, and I want to get after that dream.
Is it mostly in music?
No, there's all sorts of things I like.
So those 30,000 songs are just a little part of what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I love the songs. I have to say that the songwriting is a very big part of me because it's more like my therapy and my hobby. And there's more like 3,000 songs that I have, you know, that I have copyrights on. Yeah, I mean, I've published, you know, I've recorded a certain amount, but I mean, I have registered. So, and I have more than that. I've been writing since I was a child. Since I was like 7 years old, I've been writing serious, and I write something almost every day, or most definitely every week. I'll write something, unless I'm just sick or there's just something going on. But even in the wee hours, you know, I'll just think of something, even if it's just a few lines or a verse. But I love to write.
Does silence scare you?
No, I love the silence. In fact, that's where I do my best work. I'm a very private person in my quiet time. I'm a very early riser, and I get up early because I am so private. Early is 3 a.m. I'm almost always up.
Oh, you're like Dalai Lama.
About that time. No, yeah, I'm the Dolly Mama. Anyway, I get up and do my spiritual work and do my thinking.
What is spiritual work to you?
Well, I talk to God. I work out what I really want to do, write out my plans. For every 7 years, I'll draw up a whole new plan. And, you know,
and where are you now in the 7 years?
Well, probably about the 5th year. Although I make new plans every day, have new dreams. But, I mean, every 7 years, I just kind of block out what I want to do for the next 7 years. And it's about time for me to, you know, to do some more thinking on what that's going to be. But I expect to always work. And
so
even
what was the goal for these 7 years that you're in the 5th now?
Well, a lot of it is what I'm doing now, to really go ahead and put in motion some of the dreams outside the music, like whether it be, well, like when I started the theme park, for instance, is a good thing. I had always wanted to do a thing like that. So I was thinking, well, get on, if you're going to work with the children's programs, if you're going to do your children's albums or children's videos, that's part of my
You're doing that now?
I'm going to. It's within that 7-year plan that I had started 5 years ago. I know, but I'm ready. I'm working on it. I got it.
Eget skivbolag, eget tv-bolag, eget filmbolag och sedan några år tillbaka så har Dolly Parton också en egen nöjespark, Dollywood, som ligger i Tennessee där de växte upp. Hon är en mycket skicklig affärskvinna och går under smeknamnet Järnfjärilen för sin förmåga att både vara kvinnligt ljuv och stentuff i förhandlingar. But what's the motivation now? Because before the motivation was to have success, money, fame.
Well, when you start in show business, that word business plays a bigger part than you might think. And so in the early days, you know, really tried to make, when I first came to Nashville, started doing real country, and then when I was very young they tried to promote me pop, but I was such a country person, I didn't fit in that very well. But then once I started having country hits, then we went across and did some more pop things. So as you grow and you progress in the business, you're able to do more things. But it's, you know, the reason I did a lot of the stuff lately is because my career had gone really well. I had been very big in country music, but at my age, people were not getting played. Artists my age and older were not getting played on the radio because country music in the United States had changed a great deal. You had to be a certain age, you had to look a certain way, and just the way, you know, you had to do things in order to get on the radio. So I was off really for about 10 years. I didn't have a band together, but I was off doing other business things. But I really missed the music, and that's what really motivated me to get back to I just wanted to sing. I just wanted to get my music out there, just any outlet to get to, you know, to sing with. But it was really more just needing to sing.
The Chinese sign for crisis is the same as the sign for possibility.
Well, I think that there's a lot of truth in that. You have to be willing to suffer for whatever decision you make. Now, if you're lucky enough to not have to sacrifice or suffer, then you're a lucky person. But if you never try, you're never going to know. And there are, you know, different things that, you know, that come up with any decision you make. But you have to be willing to live for it and with it.
You've been through a couple of major crises in your life. What did you do during these crises?
This was a period of life that I had never slowed down in my entire life. I've been working since I was like 10 years old, you know, in the business, and I just was really going so fast that, you know, I hadn't really, I guess, noticed a lot of things going on. But I gained some weight. I was having some female problems. I was having some hormonal difficulties, and it was making me very depressed. And that was a very unusual feeling for me because of course I'd had moments, and everybody has their, you know, depressed times, and, you know, a day or two or even a little longer if it's something really bad. But this was just really going on for many months, and I just really wasn't that happy. But I didn't go to doctors. I eventually went to doctors for, you know, for the female problems and the hormones and all that. But it was, I talked to my sisters, I talked to my friend, I talked to God a lot.
But the particular crisis we were talking about, it led up to that you had to accept that you couldn't have children.
No, I couldn't have children even, you know, before that. I hadn't, you know, that having children or not having children was not that big of a deal to me. It's like I knew that I was surrounded with children, other people's children. I had raised my brothers and sisters when I was home. My older sister and I we were as much a mother to the rest of the family. We did the cooking. Mom was always pregnant. She had one on her and one in her for as long as I remember. And it's like, so when she was sick a lot, we learned to cook. We had to take care of the others. And then I raised 5 of my younger brothers and sisters, my husband and I. Shortly after we got married, I brought them down to Nashville and kept them, sent them to school, and they were the same as having a house full of my own kids. I'd been taking care of them at home anyway, you know, with helping.
And now you have like 28 nephews and nieces.
And I'm very close to them. We keep them alive.
So it's not a big issue for you?
No, it's not. And the older I get, the more I'm really kind of glad now that I didn't have children. People ask me that because if I'd had children of my own, I wouldn't have had so much to give to all these other children that really need me. And I enjoy it. God knows what He's doing. That's one of the other things. I wanted children at the start, or I didn't do anything not to have them early on. Then, after I brought them there to live, I didn't want babies of my own then, so I took birth control pills during that period of time because I had a house full of kids. Then, after they were kind of gone, we thought, well, maybe we'll just let it go, and if we have kids, we have them, but we never did, so.
What's your concept of love?
Well, love is many things to many people, and love is a many splendid thing. And there's love of many colors. Like, love to me is all-encompassing. It's like, I mean, love, you're talking about love or lust? Or
love.
Both. Yeah, well, love is what you feel for a thing or for a person. It's how you communicate with it. I mean, I enjoy sex, I enjoy love, I enjoy the passion.
Do they go together?
Yes, I've always said there's 3 things in my life that's always meant a lot: God, music, and sex. And they are all connected
God
to
first.
me. Well, and I got to put some food in there too. Well, God's always first, because through God, you know, you just kind of find your own place. But it's like I'm not really rough on myself about my passion. I mean, I'm a very physical person as well as being very spiritual. And I believe in, you know, in all things that make life good and make life enjoyable.
So what is the biggest price you had to pay for your success?
No privacy. People always like having to just give so much of yourself because people think they deserve it, or that either they expect it or they think they have a right to know everything. And you try so hard to give so much so many times that sometimes you wonder if you're keeping enough for yourself. So I think it's probably just the lack of privacy. You know, that's been the thing but I know that that's part of the trade. I know that I'm merchandise. I know that I'm a product. And I try to handle it with that kind of respect. But when, you know, there's just, sometimes you just feel like, well, how much more can I give? What more do you want? What else can I say? It's like,
I'm sorry, did I make
you
you
feel
feel this?
Not you. I'm talking about the press in general.
But
not you personally.
Your husband has been very, very professional in this respect. I tried to find this record, this cover from '69, which is supposed to be the only place where you can find a picture of Carl Dean, your husband?
Well, I doubt that was even him, because there's been so many pictures out there, though, that say it's my husband. In fact, there was an article in the London paper when we were over, and it said, and here's a picture of Dolly with her seldom-seen husband, Carl Dean, her husband of 36 years, Carl Dean. And it's a picture of me and one of my hairdressers. It was David Blair, but it had Carl's name under it. And then sometimes they'll come by our house and they'll shoot the gardener, the guy that's out. They'll say that's Dolly's husband on the farm. It's not him. But there are a few pictures of Carl around. He's not in show business. He doesn't make the mistake that I do, telling it all. He won't tell anything. I tell everything. He tells nothing. But he's not involved in show business. He wants me to be happy doing it. He's happy for me. He doesn't care what I do. He's happy for me if I'm happy. But he is just the opposite.
But I mean, was he born this sane, wise man?
Well, yeah, he's a very smart person. He's a very simple person. He had no intentions of getting in show business. He married me. He loved me before I became a star. He met me the day I got to Nashville. He knew that that was my desire, but he loves me for me. He did then, he does now.
But to accept, to have a wife who travels around the world and who has other love stories with other men.
Well, other stories, you're right. You got that part right. It's like, but he's not bothered by that. He knows I'm always coming home. He's very confident in who he is, and he doesn't pay attention to the stuff that everybody else says. He knows me better than anybody, and so he trusts my judgment. He trusts who I am. He's not threatened by that.
Uh-huh. And did you change your concept of love during the years?
No, I've loved Carl from day one. It's my first marriage, his first marriage. We've been together 38 years. That's quite a record, I'd say. And we do not have an open marriage. We do not have a marriage where I can go screw around with anybody I want to. He does not go screw around with anybody he wants to. If he did, I'd forgive him, I'm sure, same with me. But I talk a lot about it. It's like people just assume this and that, and it's easier just to say what people want to hear than to say what the truth is, because then you're more boring. So I always say I'd rather be Rocky Road than vanilla. So I'd rather you think the worst of me than to know the whole truth.
You don't care about the rumors and all the gossip that's written about you.
Well, you can't care about it. You do care, but you'd best you can't stop it. So you might as well find the humor in it, make the most of it. Tell what you want to tell.
It would be worse if they wrote the truth.
Oh, some of it would be. I always just say, that's not necessarily true either. It's like I always say, well, there's a lot of things I've been accused of. A lot of them I haven't done, a lot of them I have done.
Yeah, we don't get so much rumors about you here, but the one story that everybody has written about you is that you had an affair with a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, but they didn't tell the other part. I was also 13 at the time. So what's wrong with that? You're going to crucify me for that?
I was thinking about your songs. As we said, you've written like 3,000 songs. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, like Jolene, the female part is very often a kind of victim, very, suffering a lot and crying for her man. But as the years go by, the women become tougher.
Well, when I write, as a songwriter, I write for myself as well as other women that can't write, and you see those things happen. But there'll always be the tough women, there'll always be the vulnerable women, there'll always be the hurt, whether it's male or female. We'll always be hurt if the person we love, breaks our heart or goes off with someone else. I mean, I just think that's the way of it. But women, as a rule, have become, they try to be a little tougher. They've been a little more. They won't put up with as much as they might have at one time, but I'm not so sure that will ever change when it has to do with the heart.
Aging for an actress or for a singer is hard in the States, isn't it?
Well, it seems to be. I don't worry about the age, and I just want to be the best at whatever age I am. I want to be the best 50, the best 60, the best 70, the best 100 if I live that long. And I will always try to look as good as I can and be as good as I can at whatever age. And I think everybody should care that much about themselves, whatever that is.
I was brought up with the presumption that the inside is the only thing that counts.
Well, I don't believe that's true. I think the inside counts the most. I think that just means the kind of person you are. You assume that all comes from the inside, from the brain, from the heart, from the emotional center and all that. But I just think that the outside is important. I don't think you can go around...
How important?
I think it's very important. I think it's offensive to people. It is offensive to me if people go around looking tacky, don't brush their teeth, don't fix their hair, don't try to put a little effort forth. If you're going to have to live in the world with people, you should look as good and smell as good as you can. It's like anybody can be tacky. That's not to say that you have to. It's like, beauty ain't everything, but it helps in a crowd.
And it helps a lot in the United States. I mean, the demand on people to be beautiful and young is very, very heavy.
Well, that is true. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't think that it should be a pressure. I think that should be a personal choice of how you look. It's like people say, it's just like when people criticize me for the way I look. It's like
what kind of criticism could you get?
Well, it's like you shouldn't go around with your tits hanging out, or you shouldn't go around with your ass showing, or you shouldn't go around with this, or you shouldn't do that, or what possesses you to want to wear this kind of makeup? It's like people are always saying things. Yeah. It's like, well, I do what's comfortable for me. I'm not telling you how to dress. I'm not telling you what to do. But I do disagree with the fact that people should place such importance on the physical and on the outside that they forget, you know, what they're really supposed to be about. But I believe I have a good balance in who I am.
Apparently, to have a big bust is something that men love very much. But how do women relate to you on a more personal level, not as an artist?
Well, most women, most smart women can see, like I'd like to think smart men can too, that underneath all this hair of mine is a brain, and underneath these tits of mine is a heart. As a matter of fact, my boobs are small. I'm all heart.
But I mean, do they become envious, jealous?
I don't think so.
No.
Most of them just want to know where I got them.
And do you tell?
I usually tell them, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We couldn't skip that part. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I
You-
would have
you
been
sometimes feel-
disappointed in you if you hadn't asked the obvious question.
Yeah.
But anyway, so do you want to know where I got it?
Sure, tell me.
Sing the best. But back when I was trying to make a living at that, I couldn't make a living doing it. It's like nobody was interested then. So I just really had to, you know, once my career was totally where it was, I thought, well, now I have made my living doing other things as well as the music. I have my theme park and some other businesses that bring in the money, yes. So I just made a joke that I had to get rich in order to sing like I was poor again, to go back to the music I really love. That's really that much part of me.
You devoted the record Little Sparrow to your dad?
My father died.
Yes.
Well, and he loved this kind of music. I was very close to my dad. My dad was a very simple man, and this was the type of music I'm doing now was his favorite music. Nothing my dad loved more than for me to take my guitar, come.
Alltså, man ska ju inte ha fördomar, men det har man ju. Och det kan jag säga att jag hade när det gällde Dolly Parton. Jag tyckte visserligen att hon var en väldigt bra sångerska, men för övrigt så tycker jag att det verkade vara mest stora tuttar och det här stora blonderade håret. Men ack vad jag bedrog mig. Alltså Dolly Parton är en av de absolut smartaste kvinnor som jag någonsin har träffat. Hon är en oerhört skicklig affärskvinna. Hon har skrivit över 3000 sånger själv, och hon har ett företagsimperium med både videobolag och filmbolag och allt möjligt. Och så går hon upp 3 varje morgon, så hon är ingen latmask heller. Men när jag träffar henne så kunde jag inte låta bli att undra hur hon ser ut egentligen när hon tar av den här blonda peruken. Dolly Parton har varit framgångsrik och älskad av sin publik i många år. Men när jag träffar henne så har hon också för första gången blivit kritikernas gunstling. Hon har gett ut ett par skivor med bluegrass-musik. Hon har sökt sig tillbaka till countrymusikens rötter, den musik som hon själv växte upp med. Dolly Parton har klivit in i de fina salongerna. You said that you had to become very rich to sing like you were poor. Why was that?
That's true. I actually said that as a joke, but there's a lot of truth in it. It's like I've gone back to my childhood music, the music that I grew up with, the music that I actually sit by him and just sing for, he would make me sing for hours. I mean, he would if I would have done it. But I really knew he would have loved all this stuff that I'm doing now.
How many children did he have?
Well, my father had some children outside of us. Some of them were illegitimate children, but there's 12 of us kids. There's 6 girls, 6 boys that my mother and my dad had. And they married very young. My mother was 15. My daddy was 17 when they married. But, I mean, they never divorced or anything, but my dad was a bit of a rounder now and then. But I don't really know how many kids he has. I know of at least 3 outside of us that he had.
Okay. You were very poor. He could neither read nor write. And you had, as you said, 11 sisters and brothers. But how poor were you? Tar av allt sminket.
Any criticism for other people. I do what I feel right about. If something's bothering me, I fix it. I take care of it if I can, whether it's plastic surgery or whether it's liposuction or whether it's this or whether it's that.
Isn't it painful?
Well, I guess. Ain't you never done anything?
No.
No? Well, maybe you should think about it.